Are you ready to dive into this TikTok story?
Oh, yeah, this is a big one.
Because it's unfolding like right now as we're recording this.
Yeah, in real time.
You sent over a ton of articles about it.
Yeah.
And honestly, it's kind of wild.
Yeah.
Like a really high-stakes poker game, but the chips are billions of dollars and the future of like the whole internet is on the line.
It is kind of crazy how fast everything's escalated.
Yeah.
Like it went from maybe they'll ban TikTok to it might be gone this Sunday.
Yeah.
And it's more than just like one app. You know,
Yeah.
it could be huge for the economy. A lot of creators depend on it.
Yeah.
And it raises some serious questions about where the internet's even going next.
Okay, so let's back up for a second.
Sure.
For anyone who hasn't been obsessively refreshing their news feed, why is the US government even thinking about banning TikTok in the first place?
Well, the main reason is national security.
Okay.
They're worried that ByteDance, which is TikTok's parent company,
Right.
they're based in China, and the government thinks they could share user data with the Chinese government.
Oh, wow. And they're serious about it. I mean, they gave ByteDance an ultimatum, basically.
Oh, really?
Sell TikTok's US operations to an American company or face a nationwide ban.
And that deadline is Sunday.
Yeah, this Sunday.
So there's not a lot of time.
Nope, it's super intense.
It seems like it's actually possible that TikTok will go dark.
Yeah, there's some reports saying that they're already preparing to shut down
Wow.
US operations on Sunday.
Yeah.
Unless something changes like at the last minute.
Okay, but I've also seen some talk about a possible extension.
Right.
What's going on there?
Well, there's a lot of back and forth happening politically.
Well, okay.
Like at first, both Democrats and Republicans were supporting the ban.
Yeah,
But now some pretty powerful people are saying they should wait a little longer.
interesting.
Like Senator Schumer, he wants President Biden to give ByteDance like 90 more days to find a buyer.
Okay, so they're still trying to find a buyer.
Yeah, they are.
So that means TikTok could actually survive this.
It could.
Even Mike Waltz, he's going to be Trump's national security advisor.
Right.
He's been hinting that the new administration might be able to use this, loophole in the law to keep TikTok up and running
Oh, wow.
while they work out a sale.
So even with this ban hanging over their heads,
Yeah,
there's still a chance they could pull through.
definitely.
This is getting really interesting.
Yeah,
Okay, but let's talk about the fallout for a sec.
okay.
These articles you sent mentioned that a lot of advertisers are freaking out
Oh, yeah, and for good reason.
because there's something like $11 billion
Yeah, 11 billion.
in U.S. ad spending each year, just kind of up in the air right now.
Right.
So what are companies doing
Well,
to deal with this?
I mean, imagine you're a brand and you've spent all this time building a following on TikTok.
Yeah.
You've got the algorithm figured out. Your content is great.
Right.
And suddenly all those potential customers are just gone.
Yeah.
It's no wonder they're freaking out.
So what are their options at this point?
Well, a lot of them are looking at Instagram Reels
Okay.
and YouTube Shorts.
Yeah.
But copying TikTok's success isn't going to be easy.
Right.
It's been so effective, especially for reaching younger people.
Yeah, that's what they're known for.
Exactly. And those audiences, they're not easy to keep.
No.
It's not just about moving money around.
Yeah.
You have to basically start from scratch with your whole strategy.
Wow.
Yeah.
One article I read said TikTok's ad revenue was supposed to go up 57%
Yeah. I saw that.
in just the first 2 months of 2025.
It's huge.
That's a ton of growth to lose.
It is. And it's not just a loss for TikTok. It's a
No.
loss for all the businesses who rely on it.
Absolutely. And we haven't even talked about the creators yet.
Right.
What about them?
What?
Like the millions of creators who make money from TikTok.
Yeah.
What happens to them if there's a ban?
Honestly, it's like a worst case scenario.
I can imagine.
You spent all this time building a following, making content, creating a career for yourself, and it could just disappear overnight. A
Wow.
lot of creators are downloading all of their videos.
Yeah.
They're worried they'll lose everything they've worked for.
Yeah, I read that some influencers are telling their followers how to back up their videos.
Yeah,
It sounds like people are really panicking
definitely.
because for them, it's not just an app.
Right.
It's their community,
Yeah.
their creative outlet, how they make a living.
And they have no idea what's going to happen.
That's got to be really stressful.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It's kind of strange to me that with all this going on,
Yeah.
TikTok is still acting like everything is fine.
Yeah.
Like they're still rolling out new features, hosting events, trying to get advertisers.
Yeah.
It's almost like they're in denial.
It is a risky move.
Yeah.
They're basically just hoping that some deal will happen at the last second
Right.
and that advertisers will stick with them through all the craziness.
It seems like a huge gamble.
It is.
So what does all this mean for you listening to this?
Well, the future of TikTok is really uncertain.
There are a lot of powerful people and forces pulling in different directions.
Yeah, and it goes way beyond just TikTok. This
Mhm.
whole situation brings up so many issues.
Oh, yeah, like what?
Like, how much power should governments have over the internet?
That's a good question.
What happens to our data when it's in the hands of these huge tech companies?
Right.
And what about online communities when something like this happens?
Yeah,
It makes you think.
it really does. And here's another question to think about.
Okay.
One that wasn't in any of the articles you sent.
Uh-huh.
What happens if this ban creates a precedent? What if other countries start banning platforms that they think are a security risk?
That's a good question.
We could end up with an internet that's split up along geopolitical lines.
That's a scary thought.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is. And it just shows how much is at stake with this whole TikTok thing.
Definitely.
Wow. Okay, we'll have to take a break there. But when we come back,
Yeah.
we'll dig even deeper into this whole TikTok saga. It's crazy to think that just a few years ago, TikTok was this app for like dance challenges and silly videos.
Right.
And now it's at the center of this huge fight.
It really shows you how fast things can change online.
Yeah?
Something that seems totally just for fun can become a big deal really fast.
And speaking of big deals, one thing that stuck out to me in the articles was this idea of a digital iron curtain.
Oh, yeah.
It sounds like something from the Cold War.
It's kind of a scary thought.
Yeah.
Like, the internet was supposed to connect everyone,
Right.
and now it could be divided up by countries.
Yeah, one article even compared it to what's already happening in places like China and Russia,
Right.
where the government controls what people can see online.
Yeah, and that makes you wonder if the U.S., a country that's all about free speech,
Right.
starts banning apps just because of where they're from,
Yeah.
what kind of message does that send to other countries?
It seems like a slippery slope.
It is.
Makes you wonder if this is really about security or if it's more about economics.
Yeah.
Like trying to keep China from getting too powerful in the tech world.
It's hard to say for sure,
Yeah.
but this is definitely about more than just TikTok.
Right. It's about who controls the internet.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's talk about what happens if TikTok actually gets banned.
Okay.
What about all the creators who use it to make a living?
Well, some of them are already trying to build followings on other apps,
Like where?
like Instagram and YouTube.
Oh, okay.
But it's not that easy to switch.
Right. Because TikTok is different.
Yeah, it's not just about posting the same videos somewhere else.
Yeah, you have to change your content and your whole strategy.
Exactly. And even then, there's no guarantee it'll work.
And it must be really hard on the creators emotionally.
Oh, absolutely.
A lot of them have put so much time and effort into building their TikTok presence.
And now they could lose it all.
Some of the things creators were saying in the articles were heartbreaking. They were talking about how TikTok is like a community for them,
Right. It's more than just an app.
a support system, a place to be creative.
It reminds you that there are real people behind all the numbers and algorithms.
Yeah, and this is affecting their lives.
It is.
It also makes you think about how much power these tech companies have over us. We use them to build our businesses, our creative lives, our connections with other people.
And it could all be gone so fast.
Yeah, we don't always think about that.
But as these platforms become more important to us,
Right.
the stakes get higher and higher.
Okay, so let's change gears a bit.
Okay.
Let's talk about who might actually benefit from a TikTok ban.
Well, the most obvious winners would be the competitors,
Like who?
Instagram and YouTube.
Right. They're probably getting a lot of new users right now.
Yeah, people are looking for alternatives.
And advertisers are probably switching over too.
Definitely, they want to reach those younger audiences.
One article mentioned that Snapchat is getting more popular too.
Literally?
Yeah, especially with younger users who aren't happy with Instagram and Facebook.
It's funny how things change so quickly.
It is like a game of musical chairs.
Yeah, you don't want to be the one left standing.
But beyond the immediate winners and losers,
Right.
this whole situation brings up bigger questions about the future of the internet
Yeah.
and the role of the government.
Exactly. Like, how do we balance free speech with national security?
And how much power should the government have over these big tech companies?
Those are tough questions.
They're not going away anytime soon.
Even if TikTok survives this.
This is just the beginning,
It is.
and it will have an impact for years to come.
Definitely.
Okay, so we've talked about why this ban might happen and how it could all go down.
Right.
But now I'm curious about what happens next?
Yeah.
What if TikTok actually disappears from the US?
Hmm.
What does that world look like?
Well, one possibility is that everyone just moves to different platforms.
Like all the creators and users?
Yeah, imagine all that TikTok-style content suddenly showing up on Instagram Reels and YouTube Shorts.
Yeah, and Snapchat.
Right? Like, every app is suddenly trying to be TikTok.
But in their own way.
Exactly. But would it really work?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Could those other platforms capture the same vibe, the same community that TikTok has?
Because TikTok was more than just a format.
Right. It was the whole culture, the algorithm that seemed to know exactly what people wanted.
It's hard to copy that.
Exactly. Especially on a platform that's already doing its own thing.
One of the articles actually said that a TikTok ban could be good for creativity.
Oh, really?
Yeah, their thinking was that it would force creators to be more innovative. Like they'd have to break out of the TikTok mold and try new things.
That's an interesting way to look at it.
Yeah.
And I guess there's some truth to it. Sometimes you have to shake things up to get something new.
Right.
But we can't forget that change can be hard for people.
Yeah.
Some creators might not be able to adapt.
And they could lose their followers and their income?
Yeah. Exactly. And what about the communities that exist on TikTok?
Right. It's not just about the videos.
It's about the people, the connections, the sense of belonging.
Yeah.
TikTok isn't just an app, it's a whole online world.
Right.
And changing that world could have a big impact on a lot of people.
Okay, so let's say the ban happens.
Okay.
But instead of everyone moving to other platforms,
Yeah.
what if a new app pops up to take TikTok's place?
Like a TikTok 2.0.
Exactly.
It could happen. I mean, people love short videos.
Right.
And where there's an audience, there's always someone trying to reach them.
But that new app would have to avoid the same problems that TikTok had.
Right. They'd need to stay on the right side of the U.S. government.
Meaning no security risks.
Exactly. And that's not easy.
Especially with all the tension between the U.S. and China.
Yeah. Any app with connections to China is going to be looked at very carefully.
It feels like the internet is changing.
It does.
Like maybe we're entering a new era where countries are going to have a much bigger influence on what we see and do online.
It makes you think about what that means for the future.
Yeah.
Like, what happens to global communication, to sharing cultures, to the free flow of information?
We've talked about this digital iron curtain idea.
Right.
And it's a scary thought.
It is. But even if it doesn't go that far, the fact that we're even talking about it shows how much things are changing.
It really does.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I think the biggest takeaway is that we just don't know what's going to happen.
There's so many possibilities.
And that's what's exciting and a little bit scary.
Yeah.
We're living through a really important moment.
Yeah.
And the choices that are made right now could change the internet forever.
So what can our listeners do?
Well, stay curious. Keep learning. Keep asking questions.
Don't just accept what you see and hear.
Think for yourself.
And remember, this affects all of us.
Yeah, so talk about it. Share your thoughts. Make your voice heard.
The future of the internet isn't something that's just happening to us.
Right. We're all a part of it.
So one last thing to think about. What if the internet becomes divided? Split up along national or political lines?
That's a tough question.
It is, but it's one we need to consider.
As we try to figure out what the digital age will look like.
Well, that's all the time we have for today.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the future of TikTok and the internet.
Thanks for having me.